It's recording. Okay. Hi. So this is me, 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night, because I realized I totally messed up. Okay. So I am making this recording to support you because there is mass panic about this interview. And I realized I totally never uploaded the full description of the assignment. Thank you, many students who are inquiring, because it makes sense. You're looking for help. It's not there. I thought it was. So I made some changes and thought that let's just connect through video. I'm in my pajamas. People are watching me. Okay, so I'm going to move my image to the side, and I want to show you some things. All right, so when you log on to Blackboard, if you go under Course Content, and here, Assignments, I put the major assignments over here. So that way you guys can access them without having to figure out which week it goes into. So like you saw earlier, I believe I told you to check this out. You've got a short description of the assignments and the dates. Okay. And then what I realized, thanks to you, is that I didn't have the full description on here to guide you to what you should be doing. Now, this is an enhanced version of what to consider. So you really need to think like this. What are the objectives of this class? Go back to your syllabus. Look over the learning objectives. Understand what the major ideas are and the skills that you need to refine, and take into account, why are we doing this interview? Hopefully you guys can answer that question. It should be someone that you, from a different culture than you, because building relationships with people is how you better understand others. You build trust. You break those biases and stereotypes that we talk about so much. So this is how we do that. It's like peacekeeping. Okay, so think about that. So you're not going to go in and just ask random questions. You have to be thoughtful about what you do. So right here, you've got more guidance. Really tie your interview into content for this class, and you need to be prepared walking in. But at the same time, you cannot be overly prepared, because the art of this is listening more so than going in with your agenda, which is why we practice with the Germans. Remember how some of us were good and some of us not so good, that some of us bulldozed the conversation because we had things we wanted to ask. We weren't listening to what they were saying. That was the purpose of that assignment, of that, in class stuff. So those of you who missed it, I'm sorry, this may make no sense to you. So I'm going to walk you through. So now that you know what this is, I'm going to walk you through. Oh, by the way, okay, so Screencast-O-Matic, you see this right here? For free, you can make these types of things. So if you ever have an assignment, steal this idea and make a video. But don't do it in your pajamas like me. Okay, so this is from a book I used for the same class when I taught at Australia Mountain. So I'm just going to walk you through a couple quick things. I've only got 15 minutes total to talk to you. So just bear with me. Self-reflection is key in not being judgmental. So like when you walk in to the conversation and people say things that shock you, you're not going to be like, oh, really? You do what? You do that? And like, no. You just need to listen and not pass judgment, take note of things, but really pay attention to how you sit, how you act, what you say. You don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. You want to elicit trust. Okay, self-reflection, know your own competency. We're going to move forward. Not relevant. Okay. How do you do this, right? And how do you build your personal competencies? Don't be judgmental. Be flexible. Be resourceful. I think I showed this to you on the first day. Personalize your observation. Don't over-stereotype things and say, oh, if that one person does this, this means everyone does that. Not that way. Pay attention to your own thoughts and feelings and what's going on around you. Listen attentively and observe carefully. This is a listening and observation exercise, more so than just an interview technique. Assume complexity in a situation. Oh my God, the cat. Okay. Tolerate the stress of uncertainty. It's awkward, you feel weird, you're not sure. Be patient in the process. Have patience. Manage your biases, control yourself, and really just put yourself in check. Have a sense of humor, because many times doing things like this is awkward. That's the point. Not everything is easy. When you are in a discomfort and an uncomfortable place of being, that's where change happens, and that's where learning happens. So expect that, and if you feel like this is fine, this is great, I'm doing great, you're not doing it right. You're not learning. So, put yourself in check and put yourself in a position to learn, and it's okay. And be respectful. That's why we're learning and we're reading from them. What does respect mean for each culture? Why is it relevant for each culture? All this does tie in, I promise, it does. Okay. That's not what we're going to talk about. That's not what we're going to talk about. We're not solving problems here. Okay, so move on to something else. Okay, another book that I've used in the past, which I want to talk about, helps you in this process of building relationships and getting to the point of an interview. Now, I understand that if I were in person, it would be much easier for me to take moments per class week by week to get you to where you need to be. So I'm not making the ethnographic interview like the full weight of the class, because I recognize I'm not there in person to really practice these skills with you, which is why when I came on the 13th of October, I tried my best to go through this and do things in person. So I recognize that. So this is just an exercise, and I don't expect it to be a mastery because of that. So just be patient with that. This is an exercise and part of the process of learning and building your competence and a skill set of how. So you can copy this in years to come in other avenues of your life, and I'd love to hear how you do that. So building a relationship is the basis of everything that you do with people, so it's very important. Begin with the client. You can kind of read through my bolds. You control the structure, but not the content. So I want you to remember this. This is a method of cultural diversity. Oh my gosh, the dog now. The cat, the dog. Next to the baby. Wait a second. Did I say I'm in my pajamas? I have a headache too. Okay. So it is a method of cultural discovery. You're learning about this culture, whomever you're interviewing, through them. It's like you're discovering things, like the anthropologist, maybe that was kind of, but not really. So you're becoming a skilled listener. You are listening a story from people you're talking to. You're not just asking rote questions. So you want to plan, right? So you're controlling the structure. You know what you need to learn. You read over what I just added to the course, have an idea of what you're going to go in there wanting to know. But then you listen. You put your pen and paper away. You evolve into the conversation rather than just asking the questions that you have, because that's pointless and you're not building trust, and you're not observing and doing what you are skilled enough to do. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the lack of trust with a social worker does cause this just not wanting to continue the helping process with us. So it's important. This whole process is important for a bigger purpose than what you may see right now. These are my notes for when I'm in class in person. Okay, let's see what I want to talk to you about. Whoa. Okay, establish a positive relationship. How do we do this? You're not all-knowing. You're humble. You're sincere. Sometimes you need to start off with things that aren't relevant. You need to find a level of comfort. You need to show that they can trust you and tell you things that are difficult to say. The conversation is not about you. You do not need to go in with your own history and background and rationale to things. You just need to listen, be open-ended questions. If you're all-knowing, you're going to absolutely harm a relationship. Who's going to want to work with you? Who's going to want to talk to you? I wouldn't even want to. You have to be humble. Okay, admit lacking of knowledge is not a bad thing. I mean, it could look like this. I know, you can say, I've never had a personal interaction with someone who was Muslim. This is actually the very first time, and I'm embarrassed by it, but I'm also so excited that this opportunity in class is putting me in a position to reach out to someone that I don't have contact with. And I'm hoping that you feel comfortable enough to help teach me, because I don't know and I want to know more. So help me if I say something in the wrong way. Please teach me. My questions are meant to help broaden my understanding, so it's okay to lack understanding. It's not a problem at all. So be comfortable with that. Okay. Friendly conversation is always good. Lack of explicit purpose, so you don't have this agenda. Avoiding repetition, asking questions, express interest. Express your ignorance is okay. Take turns. Abbreviate. Pause. So ask a question and pause. Like, let them answer. Or when you think they're done talking, don't jump in to fill the air. Just relax and sit back and give them time. Okay? It takes skill and takes practice. And once they say things, can you talk more about that? Can you explain further what this means to you? Would you be able to describe this? These are the words how you want to elicit more conversation. So you want to explain the purpose of this. So basically tell them you're in a class, you're social work, you're learning about cultures. Meeting people in person who are different than you, who you don't have much interaction with, is a great skill, an opportunity to enhance your skill set. And you're learning about stereotypes and bias and different things that happen in the history to populations of people here in America. And this is just one exercise for you to meet someone in person rather than just a textbook. So you want to see if you can apply what you're learning in class to people in life and get to know people, build relationships, and practice your ability to listen and to build trust through informal interpersonal dialogue. And really it's just an exercise of that for you and your professional development. Absolutely. Okay. Almost done. Global questions. I think I put this in one of your modules. I do want you to Google this more if you feel like you need help. But prepare a list of global questions before you go in. Like I said, you need to consider that you're not just answering the questions one by one, but have an idea of what you're hoping to get out of the interview. Go prepared. Don't go ill-prepared. It's an injustice to the person that you're working with and to me as a reader, and honestly as your professor for this class. So they're open-ended, some aspect of their life, something that is personal or professionally puzzling to you, you want to know more about. If you don't have direct questions, just tell them you want to learn more about, child rearing practices, traditions, family values, and, their ancestry and what was it like growing up. I mean, come up with like a global area and kind of guide them of what you're hoping to get out so they have an idea of what you're looking for and the people want to tell you what you want to hear. So you want to develop sensitivity, ask the questions with open-ended way about their culture, their race, social work. I'm going to go slowly so you can pause and read through this. So you don't want to say, how do you feel? And, like, how do you feel about Trump and Hillary? Yeah, that's not the place for this. You can say, have you ever felt discriminated against? Or are there laws or policies in place throughout your lifetime that you ever were in conflict with, and could you describe that to me? So there you go. But you don't want to just, how do you feel, peanut butter or jelly, which one's better? I mean, like, no, like, you don't walk down that line. That's not the point. And what's the relevance of that? It's kind of leading them to think that they have to feel one way or another. So if you ask questions with just like, this or this, you're not giving people the opportunity to tell you other answers, because maybe neither of those were what they'd feel anyway. So that's where the ethnocentric is, where we're thinking of things through our own lens and not realizing the world out there. So consider that. I'm running out of time. I've got 30 seconds. If people say things that you don't know, ask them, what does it mean when you say this? I've never heard that before. Could you explain that better to me? Space-time actor is just, for example, If I were to come into your neighborhood, or if I were to walk into your childhood home, describe it for me. Walk me through the space. Or what is a typical day like? Can you walk me through that for you? These are ways to get a feeling for time and space. So anyway, I've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds left. I hope that helps.